Hey, I'm Brett. He, him.
Hola.
Hola. Yeah, that's cultural appropriation. That ain't it, Chief.
Really? Isn't Chief cultural appropriation too? And secondly, I'm from Cuba.
That's awesome. I love your sandwiches. You know, it is pretty sad that those Cubans don't really appreciate the great social programs they've got. Am I right, Chief? I mean, person, Cuba, person.
Great social programs? What are you talking about?
Well, you know, like take healthcare, for instance.
Yes, we had healthcare, but it mostly consists of us rubbing dirt in our wounds. But my grandmother was able to build this pretty cool wheelchair out of an old washing machine.
You must be mistaken. I learned all about Cuba's excellent social programs in college.
Is that right? How long have you been in college?
Half a semester. So yeah, I'm pretty much an expert on socialism. In fact, I'm inviting people to the meeting my group is having. Socialists undermining capitalist knowledge.
Ay, ay, ay. Tell me what else you've learned in college about my country, Mr. Expert.
Bernie Sanders taught me that Cuba has great literacy programs.
Yeah, we used to have to write, I will obey Fidel Castro 100 times every morning.
Also, Bernie taught me that the poor rose up and they stole the means of production from the ugly rich people. That sounds amazing.
We didn't own anything with regards to production. But what we did have, we had a 20-year-old anemic donkey named Gus. I do miss Gus, but he was delicious.
Okay, by the way, how did you end up in this dystopian capitalist country anyway? We've got it really rough here.
Hey, did you order the orange mocha frappuccino?
Oh yeah, that's me.
Okay.
I hate when they look at you like they expect a tip. Anyway, yeah, how did you end up in this terrible place?
We escaped on a raft made out of a mattress and inflated surgical glove.
You mean to tell me that you came to America on purpose?
No, not on a porpoise. On a raft.
I don't understand how somebody could flee Cuban paradise and come to this oppressive, totalitarian hellscape.
I can tell you, we didn't have any of those in Cuba. That I can guarantee you.
What, you mean that in Cuba you guys only have like iPhone 12s? No, don't tell me. iPhone 11s? No, that can't be right.
You young people don't have any idea what socialism is like.
My ride's here. Yeah, Mom. Yes, I'll be there in a second. Gosh, I'm gonna be late to the Antifa protest.
Typical. Yeah, you know, having conversations with people who are young and think they know shit. It's a very hard thing to do. I could do it as a wrestling coach because you could wrestle them and you kind of get like a little bit of aggression out, and then you're able to have conversations with them on a more respectable level or a respectful level. That's just how, especially us men, are built. But I was training a kid the other day, and he was talking about going to Europe, and he was like, I said, yeah, I've never been to Europe. He was like, well, mind you, this kid's 15. He goes, well, yeah, once you go to Europe, you'll realize how bad it is in America. I'm like, what are you talking about? How bad it is? What's so bad about America? He's like, well, you know, all these homeless people out here and blah 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 blah. And I'm like, hold on, what part of America are you talking about? He was like, wow, I mean, it's America. And I'm like, dude, you live in LA. That's the least American place there is. Like, get the fuck out of here. Like, LA, that's the problem with people out here in LA who were born and raised in LA, is they think LA is normal. There's nothing normal about LA. Nothing at all. You know how I know that? because I was raised in a small town in North Carolina, okay? Surrounded by a bunch of other small towns in North Carolina. And guess what they were all not like? LA. And then on top of that, everybody who has left LA, I meet people out here who have like family members who have, like yesterday we were at a wedding rehearsal, and this couple that we know, his son moved to Atlanta, but he raised his kids out here in LA, and his son was at the wedding rehearsal, and I met him for the first time, and he was like, "We love Atlanta, we love Georgia, we live outside the city, it's amazing," and he's like, it's crazy how people from LA think the only way to live is living in LA, like the hustle and the grind and the fakeness and the bullshit. It's like they think that that's the only way to live, and the only like that's just it. Like this city and what it represents and what it encapsulates is all there is. And he was like, "It's not," and I'm like, "Yeah." But like to him, like if he were having that conversation with somebody that he went to high school with in LA, or he grew up with in LA, or anyone from LA, they'd be like, "Okay, all right," because you just don't have a reference point for it. You just don't have a reference for it, and so when I have conversations with people out here who have only lived here, and they talk about America, it's pointless. It really is, because if you don't have an understanding of all aspects of American life, small town life, Southern life, Midwestern life, coastal life, big city life, if you don't have an understanding of all of those, yeah, I mean, what am I supposed to do? Just convince you of these other things that you've never experienced and you have no reference to? Oh, I can't do that in this conversation because you think you know more than me because you're from LA. And that is just something I always come into contact with people out here in LA, is they think because they're from LA, they know more about America. And they even know more about your area. Whether you're in North Carolina, South Carolina, Atlanta, Florida, Texas, they think they know more about that area than you do, even though you've spent your entire life there, were born and raised there. Now that, my friend, is a delusion. And that's what this video exploits, right? It exposes that. And there's so many people out here that's like that. Obviously, they're talking about like young college students, and I get that. It's a very common thing amongst young students, young adults. But I think to myself, like, what causes that? Because that shit was, I wouldn't say beat out of me as a kid, but it was scared out of me, Like the blatant disrespect of like going up to an adult and telling them, "No, you're wrong." Kind of just blows my mind. Now, I was taught to be very respectful, and like as an adult, I've had to learn how to, kind of, yeah. I guess for me, I was raised with so much respect for elders and anyone older than me that if they said something to me that I didn't think was true, I didn't just immediately say, "No, you're wrong." I would listen. I'd be like, "Oh, okay, all right," and I'm thinking, okay, they're older than me. They've been doing this a little bit longer than me. They've got references. They've got experience. Okay, maybe they are right. All right, let's see if they're right. Okay, if I did this and blah blah blah. Okay, all right, maybe they are right. Okay, cool. That was so easy for me to do. Some kids just aren't taught how to do that. And I feel like that just happens because of parenting. And because those young adults do that to their parents. You know what I mean? And maybe rightfully so. I mean, maybe their parents are worth disrespecting, you know? Maybe they're just not good parents, and that's what you create when you're not a good parent, is you say you say things that cancel themselves out, right? You know, you say, hey, do this, but then you don't do it. And so your kid sees that and they're like, I'm not going to listen to you. You know, you're talking out of your ass. And so you see the hypocrisy in your own parent, thus you turn into that. I don't know. I just know I had a cousin who said whatever the hell she wanted to say and was never really corrected or punished, and she just kept being that way. And she's an adult now. I mean, I don't talk to her, but like, she's still that way. And I just feel like that was parenting. That was a parenting thing. So it's just the parents nowadays, it seems, especially out here in California or the Los Angeles area where I live, is they're just not parenting correctly. You know? I just tell you one thing, like, if I have a kid, he's not going to be like that. He's just not going to be like that. I'm not going to allow my kid to turn into that. But I have a lot of responsibility in that, right? That's on me. I got to become and be a person that shows them how not to be like that. You know? Which brings up a good point. It's like, sometimes you think you know an adult, right? And then you see their kid just turn into something else, like not even close to who they are when they're around you, or not even close to who the parents are when the parents are around you. And you're like, well, why did they... And it kind of makes me think that, like, obviously not everybody is transparent when they meet you and when they're around you and they put their best face on. But when they go home, they can take the mask off. They can be who they really want to be. You know, it's kind of like that thing, like when you hear kids say, like, disrespectful shit, and you're like, wow, where'd you hear that? Well, my parents. Yeah, you hear it from your parents. My parents were never talking shit about people at the dinner table. But I feel like most parents do. Like, most adults, all they do is talk shit about other people. So what is it? That's just teaching your kid to do the same thing. You know? And then you get upset when they become that. And you're like, well, I'm not that way. And you're like, what are you talking about? You're not that way. Well, I'm not mean to other people. Yeah, but all you do at home is talk shit about them. Maybe you don't act on it, but if you're just always talking shit about people in front of your kids, they think that the talking of the shit is okay. What's going to make them think acting that out is not okay? You know what I mean? I mean, they're probably looking at you like, oh, you're a puss. Like, you're a pussy because you're not acting out on what you say about somebody. I'm gonna act that out. I don't know. I think, yeah. I've just been thinking about fatherhood a lot because my buddy's got a kid, and he's just doing everything that he can to be a better person, get to know himself more, and expand his consciousness, and embrace himself more so that he can embrace others more, love himself, give himself more grace so that he can give his son more grace. And it's like, we all need to do that. We have to do that if we want our kids to be better than us. Right? That's the goal of having a kid, is you want your kid to be a better version of you. It's going to be, your kid's going to be a version of you no matter what, right? Don't you want that child to be better? Because isn't better good? Isn't good? Isn't better good? More empathetic, more compassionate, more faithful, more courageous, more virtuous overall. Just a thought.